Hey und willkommen beim Indie Film Talk Podcast. Der Podcast, wo es um die täglichen Freuden und den immerwährenden Kampf eines Filmschaffenden geht. Viel Spaß! Schön, dass ihr wieder eingeschaltet habt beim Indie Film Talk Podcast. Aktuell reden wir in der Filmszene glücklicherweise immer mehr über das Thema Genderdiskriminierung und der Suche nach mehr Diversität im Film. Ein wichtiges anderes Thema, welches meiner Meinung nach in der Diskussion noch ein wenig zu selten vorkommt, ist aber das Thema Ageism, also der Altersdiskriminierung im Film und Fernsehen. In dieser Folge, welche eine Kooperationsfolge mit der DFFB, dem Filmnetzwerk Berlin, der Berlin Feminist Film Week und der Women Plus Filmnetzwerk Berlin ist und am Internationalen Frauentag aufgezeichnet wurde, spricht Moderatorin Nastaran Tajeri mit Soziologin Dr. Nataša Pivec, Schauspielerin und Regisseurin Greta und Produzentin und Autorin Bettina Förg über ihre Erfahrungen mit Altersdiskriminierung in der Filmszene und darüber, wie Geschichten auch in Bezug auf das Alter diverser werden müssen. Also viel Spaß bei diesem in Englisch aufgezeichneten Podiumsgespräch und wir hören uns am Ende noch einmal.
About ageism in TV and film, which is a cooperation with the Women Film Network Berlin and Filmnetzwerk. Yeah, I'm going to give the microphone to Marie.
Yes, thank you very much, Karen. I'm very happy that we're here too. At this early hour also. So very warm welcome also in the name of Filmnetzwerk Berlin. I'm going to say a few words about the Filmnetzwerk to use this nicer early morning opportunity. So Filmnetzwerk Berlin is an initiative of the DFFB, German Film Academy Berlin, I believe in English, and we are a network of filmmakers based in Berlin, of different departments, screenwriters, directors, producers, you name it, you can be a member, you can become a member of the network for free. What we do is that we strive to connect filmmakers amongst each other and also to help them connect with the industry. And so we do a lot of events like this one. I think we're going to have a really nice discussion because we have some really nice, interesting ladies here this morning. And we have a very important topic that is very seldom discussed, but yet very important, I feel. So, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Shari from the Women's Film Network Berlin. To go on the same kind of path, we're a network for female filmmakers in Berlin and also visiting filmmakers, and we do monthly meetups. And we have started this 2 years ago and found it a great way to get filmmakers to connect with each other and kind of support and empower each other. And we think this is a great panel topic because it's ridiculous how invisible women are on screen after the age of 40. And we can't wait to hear, the panelists talk about it. So enjoy.
Just one little thing before Nastaran starts with the panel. I would like to briefly introduce our moderator, Nastaran Tajeri Fumani. I hope I'm saying it right.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nastaran. I'm very happy that you're here. If I am right, you are a social worker, researcher, activist, moderator, also a musician. You do a lot of things, I believe, and it feels like your nights must be short.
Yes.
And you also work as a moderator for the Panorama section of the Berlinale and as a moderator and curator for the Expose Queer Film Festival. Yes. Okay, so have fun.
So thank you very much for the invitation. Welcome to our panel. In the first step, I would like to introduce you to the panel, and I would ask some opening questions, and then I will open the microphone for your questions, remarks, or your share of experiences, if you like. So I would like to start with Dr. Nataša Pivec. She's a creative academic born in Slovenia and now living in Berlin since 2017. She got her PhD degree degree in Sociology and Gender at Faculty of Social Science in Ljubljana, Slovenia, which focused on othering and film. She has published several academic papers on sexism, ageism, and popular media, runs her own blog, The Other Matters, and lectured at several institutions, among others, HU Berlin. Ex-journalist, copywriter, DJ, but currently cultural analyst, lecturer, researcher, and consultant. Happy to meet you. Welcome. Greta Arment is a German actress, director, lecturer, researcher, former casting director, artist, and producer for film and theater. She has been teaching actors and directors in European film and theater schools, such as the Danish National School of Performing Arts in Copenhagen, the Actors Center in Oslo, and the German Film and Television Academy, DFFB, Berlin. She was a casting director for more than 50 productions in film and television, and is currently working as a producer for film and theater with her German Scandinavian group. Welcome. Happy to meet you. Bettina Förg, born in Hamburg, parent and successful writer of radio plays and TV movies. She studies mathematics and physics, started her career as a trainee. Luckily, her first 3 films were with Wolfgang Petersen, Das Boot. She worked many years as a film assistant, director in national and international movies, TV plays and series. For example, James Bond, as well as Go Trabi Go. Then as a producer of movies and TV program. Parallel to that, as a scriptwriter and script consultant. She's the founder of a Spanish theater and was a board member of Directors Guild Germany, BVR, Bundesverband Regie, and board member of WIFT, Women in Film and Television. Today she's living in Berlin and Harz, is writing and planning a project about aspects of time. Welcome. Very happy to meet you. I would like to start with the first question, because while speaking about ageism, we constantly have to see this form of discrimination in a complex intersectional dimension or perspective. So that means class, race, gender, and patriarchal capitalist supremacy have an enormous influence to keep this construct or this oppression going. And I would really like to know, out of which position do you personally evaluate ageism, and how does ageism influence your work and your practice in film business?
Me as a researcher, and of course as an academic, has a different perspective what ageism is. Ageism is basically age discrimination. We perceive other people on their physical cues. So if somebody looks younger or older, then we evaluate them as such. And by the age of 35, basically youth ends. This is the standard. And by the age of 59, old age starts. So when it comes to those are the normatives. This is something that is somehow being agreed upon. But when it comes to the ageism, and especially when it comes to women, I think we are so double burdened by the way we look and the way our bodies are perceived. First of all, we are perceived as the young, desirable creatures, and after the age of 40, and especially when it comes to businesses connected with appearance or body, which means actresses especially, then this discrimination somehow really kicks in. Of course, women are always objectified upon their looks, even as soon as they hit puberty, maybe even before. But when it comes to the aging is something that should be dismissed or invisible or somehow not even being talked about. So when it comes to aging, I think we're all aware that how the industry, especially any beauty industry, views aging as something to defy, as something to fight, not something to accept, because apparently women are just bodies and not maybe wisdom, or maybe humor, or maybe life. As soon as we stop being non-reproductive, which means we cannot procreate, our value diminishes. And that's bullshit, honestly. Because women are much more than our bodies. Women are much more than the way we look. And by just not being able to procreate, so to continue the civilization, our values somehow just decreases and goes away. So when you ask if other social positions affect ageism, of course. Race, ethnicity, class, disability, anything is, and sexual orientation also, especially when it comes to, and gender, when it comes to non-binary people, when it comes to women who are not straight. So, of course, it just combines all those disadvantages when it comes to ageism.
So, from my position as a human being, first of all, I think we should realize that we have to invite life, first of all, in our art, in our life, in our education, in our social behavior, because for me, life is a great composer. Yes, it's not about to be pretty. It's nice to be pretty, yes, but for me, it's about beauty. Yes, and beauty is not only beautiful, you know that. It's the beauty in life or the beauty in the cinema. Just I make a round to the cinema. For me, it's cinema connected with dreams, with desire, with backwound stories, with the ageism of life. You know, it's going up and down. And we have to invite life in scripts. We have to invite life in our behavior as actors and actresses and in our art. And we have to think about, how should I say, that we are not discriminate ourselves in judgment, that we say, oh, we are limited. You know, when I got 40 as an actress, there were a few, castings. It was would you like to play a witch? You can't play with high heels. I don't agree. It's not possible. Can you drive a bicycle? Can you drive a motorcycle? Maybe you would like to play a mother, but we have no name for the mother. It has no backbone story. So when I came today, I came with the S-Bahn, and every day is a new composition of life. We don't know that. We don't know what will happen on this daily life experience. And I think this, about ageism, I once met an old guy in the S-Bahn, and he said to me, the people are thinking that I'm losing love because I'm 75 years old. It was a very strong experience from my point of view, how the people are suffering because of this discrimination and ageism. Yes, and if you are 25, yes, you are a wonderful love interest, but I think we have all together to research what does it mean, love, and not just an impression. And so, for the producers, for the script writers, for the actors, for the artist, we have to confront life, because I think we are very afraid because life is ending somehow. Yes, and I think that is a bigger conflict, as you understand me. And if I'm working with writers, I said, okay, you have really to invite the life of the person and not the cliché. So you have to trust, and you have to trust to tell the stories. And that, from my first point of view, I would like to share this as a human, first of all, as a human being.
Thank you.
So I have to confess to belong to the generation who's guilty, actually. Because when I was very young, the first aim of little boys and girls were to be dressed as their parents, to wear long trousers, to get the dress of the mother. And when I was a little bit older, 12, 14, so suddenly the world exploded. Youth was, we decided our music by ourselves. We decided politics. We decided what to wear. The whole lifestyle was youth, was us. And this was absolutely fantastic. And we loved this situation. And we stayed in the situation. We kept it as long as possible. And I'm still in this idea. Yeah. And this is, to be young is a value at itself. This is what we invented. So this is a problem. And this is a little bit of an historic outlook. So we have to fight against this picture of a society that the truth is with the younger people. But so we have to, should we turn the wheel back? It's not easy. Secondly, talking about, we have to break it down. There is, of course, meanwhile, in the society, the discussion about pension against, this is a money and economic problem. We have more and more older people. Are they trash, yes or no? So what we show in TV and film actually is a mirror of the situation in the society. And as you already said, it is a question to break it down to diversity. Older people, they have to be shown as people who lived a long life, so they have more stories to tell, to make them, to show them as people who are more, had a better or a greater source of stories. And they are not only silly old people being anarchistic or so, all these funny storytelling, or the old grumpy men in the corner. They are adults, and they stay adults until they die, and hopefully. And I'm always a little bit in a conflict when I, in my age, try to convince them. But we have to differ between the appearance on screen and the people behind the screen as producers in studios and script writers. Personally, as a script writer, I'm not very interesting anymore because nobody will make with Bettina his great say, oh, I found somebody really new. Yeah, I'm 70. I'm not really new. I have to do with very young producers, 35 years old. In my perspective, they're very young. In their perspective, they are experienced. And they are experienced. They know what they are doing. But they, of course, want to be, they don't want to get advices from elderly people. I can understand this, actually. And to talk about beauty, not beauty, this is a problem which I think is on its way, slowly. We have more and more people who don't look that perfect, especially in simple TV shows. Yeah, the weight is not a topic anymore, and the look is not a topic anymore. So far, it is not, as in Italy, for example, which is awful. Yeah, if you don't have the right tits, you can, you cannot survive in this business. That's a fact. Yeah, and you have to buy some new tits in the next corner, and then go to the Botox shop.
Absolutely,
yeah?
And you can see this in weather forecast, for example, how people have to look like to present the weather.
Yeah,
just for that, just a little comment on it.
So basically, we have maybe I hope we can find a point to discuss the problems of script writing, producing. Economically aspects to sell this thing, and not to be too educationally to tell the people, hey, you have to be nice to elderly people. They have really something to say. Oh God, I don't. Yeah. So we have to be aware that there is something which is to get a new, fresh, emotional approach as a society to the entire society we live in. That's my statement.
Thank you very much. I mean, there were so many different levels you were already mentioning, and I'm asking myself, because in film industry we usually follow this mainstream narrative of female bodies, and when I say female bodies or women bodies, I always see this gender star, so please excuse me when I misgender, but I mean it like this. And meanwhile there are so many counter narratives. For example, let's see 45 Years, or let's see Wolke 9, where there is this love story of elderly people and so on, and telling stories out of another perspective, and it's about representation. And I'm wondering, while facing the film industry as it is right now, which boundaries or limits are you facing while writing or working in this field? And for you as a researcher, what's your actual point of view on this? Are there that many counter narratives, or if yes, tell us more about it? I would open here. And then, okay. Yeah.
So I would like to talk to you about my experience as a former casting director. Maybe it's interesting for you, because I shifted my positions. I started with acting, then I studied acting and directing in Russia too. Then I got a casting director, and then a teacher. So it was the shift from the casting director to the teacher is connected with my experience as a casting director to this time. And, I think the main aspect is that all the actresses should be aware that they are not focusing on their weight. They have to focus on their inner weight. What the inner artistic weight is: to research, to read, to go to the theater, to go to the cinema, to look to the people. Because if I would like to be seen on the screens, I have to watch the world first. And that I try in my education. Because in the time as the casting director, it was sometimes really, with a lot of humor, I could tell you, it was like Truman Show. There was a lady, 55 years, in front of me on the desk, and she said, it's so nice to be so normal. I'm so happy that that I don't need this and this. And she was completely, had completely made surgeries. Yes. So our job is, from the actress's point of view, to get more courage, to love your maturity, to find your own beauty, to fight for your art in the best way, to save your art. And then the relationship to the casting director, to the producers, to the writers, I'm sure it will develop a great challenge. Because if I'm not doing, I'm 45, but my voice is like that, and yes, I'm very nice, and my pony, and then I have my pony, So I need my voice, and maybe it will be a long run, but I'm sure you will find the right people to work with. So you have to be in your verticale. And when I'm teaching, it's really a great pleasure to see when very young actors and actresses are coming and said, oh yes, I'm thinking about inner weight, what I have to tell. And I ask, what is your favorite book? And they said, yes, I read Dostoevsky, The Idiot. It's deep, it's with humor, it's with grace, it's with passion. And so all this experience we need for good stories. You understand? So not just justifying the other side, it's not enough to see how we can grow and live our full potential and go for that.
Yeah, and seeing it from a very let's say mean economically perspective, yeah. See, hey, best ages. There was an when the EPI Institute research about best ages. They looking TV. They going to the cinema. They have the money to buy all the nice things, including wheelchairs, in the advertising. Yeah, I mean, are they stupid to fill TV completely day by day with 22 young people in a show, and they are all about 17 years old, and nobody of them are watching TV anymore, and they don't watch. Definitely not these free TV. What's ZDF, ARD? Nobody will even take care about it from the younger people. For whom do they produce? And so there is. I wonder why, from very, very simple economically reasons, they don't change the paradigm. I don't understand this. This is very simple. This is maybe one way to, or one of the ways to sneak into another optic of another look, another idea of how we are very happy if we get, for example, stories about us as everybody. Maybe somebody has seen from Netflix series with Michael Douglas, Kominsky Project. Has anybody seen this? This is Michael Douglas is 70 and has prostata problems all the time and runs to get a pee somewhere around the corner. And this is the main thing about the stories. And he is running an actor school, not very successful. And his best friend is an old producer, Hollywood producer. And they're talking about age. And they tell you so many things about age, life, love, new love. He fell in love with somebody, with one of his ladies in the actors' school, which is a little bit embarrassing because he's too old for all this. Yeah, and so all this in this series, that is all the stories about elderly people is told, and this is a success because they are not just old; they have stories, backstories. And maybe what we have in our country, let's focus it on Germany so far. We have only such stories about funny old people robbing a bank. Yeah, this is not the world. I mean, this is nice, but this is not the story about. So maybe it is more interesting than all the daily soaps. What we see this is by the way, excuse me, last sentence. Rote Rosen. This is about middle-aged women. Yeah, and this is very, very successful. It runs and runs and runs because they are all sitting in front of the cinema and they are talking. Even it is a very, let's say, cheap Red Roses Mittags program. They're talking about their personal problems, the body problems, problems with kids, problems to be lonely, but not only problems, also to be proud, successful in the middle of life. This is a very good way to sneak into a new view or point of view of age.
Thank you. I mean, I would try to narrow down the question because I opened it very widely and wild. Because basically, you just said we have this plastic surgeries, we have cosmetic. Advertisement and so on. Even Berlinale. Yeah, I just remember 2 weeks ago there was a elderly woman and a very young woman, and they have the same makeup, and it looks really spooky. Like, why do the people do this? And you opened up, Bettina, a lot of questions like, why do we see so many young people if the audience is not that young? I mean, why is it like this? There's so many questions about this, and maybe are there any strategies? What do you think about this?
So I would like to reverse to the previous questions about representation of older women in films. We all know Golden Girls. Those was the series in the 80s, and this is basically the first time that older women, but that was a comedy, which means if a woman is older, if she's like comedian, then it's fine, we can accept this. But then we had First Wives Club film, and all those women were, I think, 45. And they were women to discard. So they had new husbands, husbands have new wives, and so on and so on. And there were women in 40s. And now we have Frankie and Grace. I think it's the only show that represents women. And also women who are now still not considered old, are over 50. For example, Nicole Kidman is over 50. Tilda Swinton is over 50. Robin Wright is over 50, the main show person of the House of Cards. And I remember one episode in House of Cards when Robin Wright was basically talking about menopause, but not in this tragic version that we all know. Oh, we're like now becoming futile and we're becoming barren. No, this is the reality of a human body, and in this case, women's body. We are changing like you have a disease or you have an injury. It's the same. The body is just changing. And real life, like how menopause is somehow becoming more and more normalized, not getting something that it's ruining your life, and because of that you just can represent, like you said, Greta, witches or like grandmothers with no names. This is the problem of women's with asterisk representation in series and in films. So. Also, when it comes to some women who are more actresses, especially Hollywood actresses, are much more privileged. For example, Meryl Streep will always get roles. Diane Keaton, the same. Helen Mirren is like rising, and I think it's fantastic that when we are talking about older women, 40 is not old. Maybe this was old like 30 years ago. 40 is not old. When we're talking about good representation of older women, yes, over 65. Let's be honest. And if we see good representations of women over 65, 70, this is the future. Because we are living so long, our longevity is getting higher and higher and longer. So women over 70 being really good represented, like human beings, like you said, Greta, and also Bettina, with some backstory. We have lives. When you live 70, 75 years old, this is not like you living your life in a vacuum. It's basically struggles and love and life and hate and everything. But coming back to the strategies, you said what it's possible. Basically, I think we as a women need to enter the sphere where the money is. It's about economics, nothing else. It's about the economy. When you have people and women who are there, the stories can be made and produced. And because we, especially you people, I'm just a researcher, we create the reality basically when it comes to film representations. It's not out there. We made it, we reflect it, and the reality reflects upon film representations. So it's like this mutual relationship. What you give to the audience will react, and then it's like this come and go relationship. So yeah, I think money and how to get into the industry. So if we support each other, and I'm looking now at Shannon and Shari, the Women's Film Network Berlin. This is how you do it. Connect. We are so isolated when we are artists, or when either one, cultural researchers, anything. We need to be connected. We need to share stuff. We need to support each other. So I think this is only the only possible way to fight. but not like aging, but fight the stereotypes. So that's, I think, my take on the strategies.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions from your side or comments?
Hi, thank you for your thoughts. So I just wonder so you're a researcher on gender and media. What is the link between research and getting some of this research and understanding changes in culture to up on the screen, sort of the connection between production and research, especially looking at, as people are aging, what do you find is most effective in translating this into media production?
Well, this is from my personal point of view. I always like to, as a researcher and as an academic, I always like to be in contact with creative people, which means I need to be around people who are making stuff, because all I can do is basically analyze stuff. But I want to be on this armchair academic who just bitches about things not getting changed. So that's why I always try to be somehow into the film productions or consulting people, even on like very friendly level, because I have more insight what basically is wrong with the society and something that needs to be like repaired on some level. So this is my strategy is also personal. I want to be around filmmakers. And I want to support them, and I want to give them my knowledge. And this is my take how things can change. I'm not fully personally involved. I'm not an actress. I'm not a producer. That's why I can have maybe more like objective and empathetic approach to what is happening. So I think this is the only thing that me as a researcher academic can contribute to the changes in the film industry, at least here in Berlin, if not nowhere else. Thank you.
I just want, let's say, preparing for this speech today or yesterday evening, I thought about examples, good examples for stories, topics, and while we spoke in the morning, said there was a story about what was the name of it? Maybe it would be good to have good examples by hand to say this works out very good, as you mentioned, all the actresses, for example. But we have the same thing here in our little German world when we have story about a middle-aged or old woman. The cast is always the same, yeah, and there is a little bit. It is good. They are good actresses. There's no question, but you have the feeling after a while the only wife which grows older is Iris Berben in the world. That's it, yeah, and that's she. She can be 70, but then we have in some stories they are not beautiful anymore. They are not. They are just open the door and say, "My son isn't there. I don't tell you anything about." And so in the crime stories, they have nothing to tell anymore. So maybe we should try to wider the cast, which is important. This is not only Iris Berben, and she is beautiful. She is a good actress. And it is not her fault. Absolutely not. And we should try to have more examples by hand, which are actually running, and everybody knows, so that we can argue as script writers. This is my hope to the research, that when we argue in a conference with somebody, we can say this worked out. So the argument is the people don't want to see stories about older people. They are old, sick, and they elect AfD. I mean, this is not the picture what we want to have. That's what I just want to mention. Maybe there is I don't know the platform where we can check this, for example. is there any thing where we can get more information about, beside of all the network platforms, where we can get more information about researches in this to this topic?
About ageism in general?
Ageism, feminism, whatever. Your personal research.
My personal research is basically all I have done right now was how gray hair are absent from women from women's hair in film and series. So this was, I always thought that gray hair is somehow a signifier of aging. And young women like to dye their hair gray, but when women are starting to gray, we want to hide it. We don't want world to see that we are getting old. So when I was doing this short research and published it in a book, basically what I come to the conclusion was there was, of course, always gray hair means a woman is a witch. Always this weird representation, but on the other hand, I exposed two good representations of gray-haired women. One was from Devil Wears Prada, of course, Meryl Streep, and the other one was from The Hunger Games, Julianne Moore. But all those women were powerful women, which means they are not witches anymore, women with gray hair, but bitches. So it comes always about power. If we go back, witches somehow possessed sort of different power than the mainstream medicine. And in this case, when you have gray-haired women who are now bitches, powerful bitches, they also have power. So when it comes to power and older women, I guess this is what's problematic. I think world and society wants to see older women helpless. And I think this is also the issue. When you are a young, active, productive in a capitalist society, you are still welcoming, you're contributing to the society. But after being not so productive anymore, I think this is the issue. So being helpless, I think, is something also older women and we as society needs to defy. We do have power, so deal with it. And it's going to continue, and the more of us, the better the world can be. So I think this is something not directly answering to your question, but it's the thing that, of course, we need to think about. I don't think research in general is so concerned with age or with maybe with gender and sexism. Yeah, it's more there. But when it comes to aging, oh hell no. And I think all we have is a little bit of a personal issue. What does aging mean? That we're going to die eventually, that we are facing our mortality. And this is something that we as human beings don't want to see. That's why people have issues with age, with older people. We are facing our future selves. We are facing our disabilities. We are facing potential loneliness. Who wants to face that? But if we don't change that, the isolation can be eliminated. The disability can be helped. So it's only upon us as people and us as a society that can change this perspective. What does old mean? So, yeah, Greta, bitte.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, girls, guys. I think we have to basically to research the education. First of all. Second, the understanding about this huge craft of acting. Yes, because both sides, from my experience, I casted for 40 productions, so I know, I did cinema, I did GZSZ, I did everything to get a lamp on each subject, It's about, this moment. The other side has to know what a huge potential is it. When I started with acting, I was 23 years old and I was confronted with a very, very strong character from Dostoevsky. And I had a wonderful teacher and he said, yes, you can manage it. You have a deep understanding of the soul, you have a great understanding of the beauty of ideas, and it was really a gift for me to have the right teacher at the right moment. And that is a position from my point of view why I enjoy I'm saying teaching is my best, a wonderful work of art. When I'm going on the floor with actors and directors between 35 and 65, we are going together with a topic on the floor. So we are researching the human condition. We are researching what's going on in Chekhov characters, for example, yes, about suffering, about being afraid, about death, about questionary, about to stop asking questions, so your limitation. So the other side, for my proposal for you, we should do a wonderful workshop, a masterclass in this wonderful space here with actors, directors, producers, and all together, and writers, to understand that the actor, when you're saying in the cinema or when you're saying in the shooting and action, it doesn't mean you have to run. It means space for the acting. And space for the acting is we are the creators to create life and not to imitate life. If you are doing a series, of course, it's not cinema. I did once Verbotene Liebe. It was very funny. It was very funny. I liked it. It was trashy. It was really trashy. I said, everything what I said, I talked about, and I had no reaction shots and nothing. It was wonderful. But it's cinema or theater. We have to create deeper characters. And I think it's not about success. It's about knowledge. Getting more knowledge from every side of this wonderful craft.
So we're running out of time. But yeah, let me finish with this beautiful thing you just said. We have the power, deal with it. I like that very much, and it's going to be the slogan for tomorrow's 8th of March. I think the fight will continue against this oppression, against this violent discrimination. It's violence, basically. And it was lovely to talk with you about this very strong topic. And thanks for you as an audience to be here. And have a lovely day. Thank you very much.
Michael.
Ich hoffe, das Gespräch hat euch einen Anstoß gegeben, um über das Thema Altersdiskriminierung in der Film- und Fernsehlandschaft nachzudenken und vielleicht sogar an Lösungsansätzen zu arbeiten. Lasst uns gerne über Facebook oder Instagram über dieses Thema weiter diskutieren oder ihr schreibt uns einfach eure Meinungen oder Gedanken als E-Mail an die E-Mail-Adresse comment@indiefilmtalk.de. Wenn ihr solche Panels und Gespräche interessant findet, würden wir uns natürlich freuen, wenn ihr den Indie Film Talk Podcast auf Spotify, iTunes oder mit jeder Podcast-App abonniert und die weiteren Folgen mit Kollegen und Kolleginnen teilt. Ansonsten bleibt mir noch zu sagen, vielen Dank fürs Zuhören und wir hören uns beim nächsten Mal.